All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 2 Meter Crew Anti-Net. My name's Nick, call signs KN6DAL, and I'll be tonight's coordinator. We want to say thank you and a shout out to the W6VVR repeater and the Vacaville Radio Club. Also, thanks to the Freestar Network and the use of their repeaters and all their digital connections. Also to the owners and operators of the WX5 NAS repeater system and to the Mad Scientist Amateur Radio Club. Big thanks to Mike, WG5EEK, Greg, W5GSW, and Brian, KK6BXP. The list could go on and on, but for all of you who have played a role in making this successful, thank you so much. We're going to take a second, see if there's any priority or emergency traffic. If there is at any point, you can say break with your call sign, and we'll clear the air for your message, and we'll stop and take a pause and see if there's any emergency or priority traffic right now. All right, nothing being heard. The 2 Meter Crew is not an actual club. We're just a group of ham radio operators that are enjoying all things ham related. There's no dues, fees, or charges or anything to be a 2 Meter Crew member. If you want to find out more information, you can go to 2metercrew.net, and you can also check out our Discord group. There are going to be links in our YouTube drop down if you are interested in those. This is an open net. It's welcome for everybody, so please feel free to join in, chime in, say hi. If you have any questions in the middle of people talking, you're always welcome to do that. There's no super tight coordination, so don't feel bad for jumping in. The 2 Meter Crew Anti-Net meets every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 4 a.m. UTC. No, 3 a.m. UTC. I keep getting it wrong. You guys are going to have to tell me when that changes. On the W6VVR repeater, And we also have many different digital connections. We've got Echolink at W6VVR-R. We've got Allstar links 51094 and 512342. We've also got DMR Talk Group 3174117. YSF Reflector 50462. Freestar All-Star links are 2195 and 2196. And then we've got our Mad Scientist Amateur Radio Club repeater in San Mateo is linked. You can also check out our Zoom link. We'll be posting that in the comments on YouTube. And this is all being live streamed at Northwest Ham Shack. So if anybody has any questions or anybody is looking for a different way to connect, just let us know and we can help you get set up with that. So before we get into anything, just going to take a second and see if there's anybody out there that recently got their amateur radio license. So if you're a new license holder, or if you just recently upgraded your call, or you've never checked in with us, come on in now. Uh-oh, I got a buffer warning. I have an error. Poor internet. That's okay. All right, nothing being heard. Again, this is Nick, call signs KN6DAL with the 2 Meter Crew Anti-Net, and we're going to take any check-ins, any and all check-ins that wish to check into the 2 Meter Crew Anti-Net. Come on in now. I can't even read it, Servando. Oh.
6 EFR.
Bert, I think that was you. You must be driving home. How's it going tonight?
Driving home, I'm 37, it's raining. Everybody in front of me is like going really slow, but other than that, I'm good.
Gosh, everybody's talking about the rain down there. You know, it rains here in Everett like every day. So it's, I mean, it was probably raining half of the day today. We actually got a little glimpse of sunshine and we were pretty pumped. When you get a chance, you're going to need to come on because Servando is learning how to use a label maker right now, and it's absolutely hilarious. So hopefully when you get home after your drive, you can hop on and say hi, man. It was good to hear from you.
Sounds like fun, just to watch him make those. All right, as soon as I get home, I get on.
All right, we'll see you soon, Bert. This is Nick, KN6DAL with the 2 Meter Crew Anti-Net, looking for check-ins. Anybody that wants to check in, come on in now.
Kilo Juliet 6, Kilo India Hotel, over.
All right, I got KJ6KIH, I believe. Correct me if that's wrong, but how's it going tonight?
And I'm doing fine, thank you. His name is Steve. I've been on the air in quite a few years. I guess I'm retired, as I call it, and I'm just getting back into the ham radio hobby. So I'm actually standing out on the front porch. It's kind of cold, but this is the only way I could make this a QSO. Back to you.
Yeah, sometimes you got to find that sweet spot depending on how far away you are from a repeater or whatnot. But Steve, thanks for checking in with us, man. It's good to have you back on the air, and definitely don't give up. Just keep going. Sometimes retirement is good for ham radio. Sometimes people, when they retire, they kind of bag it for a little while. So it's cool to see that you're bringing the hobby back. And we'll say 7-3 to you. And if you're interested, we will be posting a Zoom link if you're interested in jumping on and saying hi. Your audio was a little bit low. I didn't look to see what way you were coming in to our system tonight, but a little bit quiet, but definitely fully readable. So thanks for checking in, man.
Okay, thank you very much. 7-3.
All right, Servando. K6SRV. How are you doing tonight, man? How's things going?
K6SRV here. I am doing fine. Happy to be here. And it's also raining where I am. Back to you.
Well, I definitely appreciate the weather report. Servando, that was super cool. This is Nick, KN6DAL, with the 2-meter crew anti-net. Let's see if anybody else has a pulse out there. How about Dave, K6WBY? What's going on, buddy?
Well, Nick, it's raining at my house as well. It seems to be
Interesting.
pretty much, widespread rain down here. This is Dave, K6WBY. Had a good time this week and this weekend working on a fun project with Dan, and it was amazing how we took something from on-air conversation where we were both affected by the same problem and turned it into a working production piece in less than 24 hours. But things are going good and having fun and trying to stay dry in the rain.
Right on, man. Thanks for checking in with us. We appreciate it. This is Nick, KN6DAL, with the 2-meter crew anti-net. We're looking for any and all check-ins. Anybody that wants to check in, come on in now. All right, Dan, I'm sending it over to you. N6ETR. What's new? What's this project all about that we keep hearing? Tell us about it.
Hey, thanks, Nick. Good evening, everyone. This is Dan, N6ETR.
Wait, first, what's the weather like in your area?
Oh, it's not raining. I don't know where these two are getting their information. I think they're hacks. Yeah, it's just windy. So, anyway, no, it was raining earlier. But yeah, I thought I'd follow up with what Dave was talking about with the DX Commander. If you want to drop real quick. All right, this is Dan, N6ETR. So the way this item works is the DX Commander has a male threaded end at the bottom section, and it has a female threaded collar and a cap. And what we do is we remove the cap, and the command spike, as Dave has so well named it, has a shoulder that slips inside and displaces the inner tubes. And the radial plate also fits, as it should. And you simply follow up with the female threaded collar. And you're left with this is Dan N6ETR. So you're left with a nice 150 millimeter long spike that you can drive into the ground, or you can pilot beforehand if you're dry, compact soil area. And it just prevents lateral movement of the bottom section so it doesn't slip out. Because I don't know how to tie guy wires, apparently, and it's fallen twice on me. So necessity is the mother of all invention. That's what they say, isn't it? N6ETR, back to you, Nick.
All right, so I've got my first question is, this is Nick, KN6DAL. My first question is, how long did it take for you to print it?
So on my printer, and granted, I should have messed with the infill more because I think Connor had some good comments. I only have a 20% infill on the spike. It took me 11 and a half hours on the printer.
And Dave, do you want to chime in on that? Did you printed one as well, right?
I printed actually several. I think Dan and I both printed the first version, which was a little bit shorter. And we made a slight modification. I think, Dan, it was 50 millimeters longer, and is a little bit pointier spike, essentially. It's a little bit easier to sink into the ground. I printed the short one the night before. I printed the longer one the first part of the morning the next day. And I was actually able to, I think I sent a picture around, but attach the spike to the bottom of the commander, push the spike into the ground in the lawn out back, and it would stand up by itself, no guy wires at all. So it's sturdy enough, and I think it offers two advantages. One, it doesn't move around when you're trying to attach the guy wires, but the problem that we're having is not so much the tension pushing down on those, but it's the base slipping out if it's not on a surface. If it's on a surface that allows a little bit of slippage, and as soon as it slips enough, your guy wires become loose and it topples over. So I've since printed 2 additional spikes out of the PETG. I think the other filament that's supposed to be a little bit stronger and more heat resistant. So printed 2 at a time on that, and I think that took about 11 hours to print those. But now I have 3 of them, and I mean, I could print out a bucket full of them in a day or 2.
Cool. That's awesome. And thank you for inputting on that. K6SRV has raised his hand. He has a question. Servando, take it away. Your microphone is off.
K6SRV. No, I didn't have a question. I just wanted to say that this is actually pretty cool. I like, when I saw this, I was like, okay, I know why Dan made this. This is really cool. But also I started thinking, like, this is like the most ham radio thing ever. I know the spike is not resonant and you can't get a good SWR on it, but it's really cool to see like a need for something. Like, we already have like a cool antenna, and then there's a need for something. You came up with a way of fixing it, and we have the means of implementing it, right? 3D printers. It's amazing. It's like we're living in the future, and then it solved an issue. I think that's pretty cool. And yeah, just wanted to give you guys a shout out. That's pretty awesome. It was cool seeing that whole thing go down. Back to the anti-net.
All right, thanks, Servando. This is Nick, KN6DAL. I couldn't agree more. I think that, you know, there's been enough kind of small troubles with that antenna, just with wind and slippage and things like that, where just as a group we've seen the need for something, and it was really cool to see you guys jump up and say, hey, let's just figure it out and make it. And so, you know, maybe someone down the road needs help, and, you know, we can be there for them when they need it, which is pretty cool too. And I saw that did you have something to add, Dan?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. This is Dan, N6ETR. I just wanted to say, to follow up with what Servando was saying, in the spirit of ham radio, I believe in sharing these ideas and leaving them as an open source. So I've uploaded the file and a couple thumbnails onto thingiverse.com. If you own a 3D printer, or you have a friend that owns a 3D printer, it's all right there, and you should be able to just click print and go.
Awesome. Thanks for that. And what program did you use to draw it, or who drew the original drawing? Okay. What program did you use?
I use Fusion 360. Autodesk does offer a sort of a free educational version, as long as you don't try to make a profit off of whatever you're designing on it.
Right.
Yeah, Fusion 360. I like that.
Cool. All right. Awesome. Well, thanks, you guys. This is Nick, KN6DAL with the 2 Meter Crew Anti-Net. And we'll take any questions. Anybody that wants to check in, come on in now. Servando's pointing at himself again.
No, I just had a quick comment. For those of you that don't know, Fusion 360 is, the learning curve on that thing is steep. So I was just commenting that Dan is super smart.
All right. Nobody heard. I didn't hear anybody on that last round. So we'll open it up a couple more times, see if anybody wants to check in, and then we'll be hanging out on Zoom for a little bit, maybe a long bit if nobody checks in. This is Nick, KN6DAL with the 2 Meter Crew Anti-Net, looking for any and all check-ins. Anybody that wants to check in, come on in now.
KM6QLB, Vincent Pittsburgh. Just want to check in and say hello. Watching you guys on the tube. How you guys doing tonight?
Oh man, Vince, thanks for breaking the silence. It was getting awkward there for a minute. No, we're doing good. We're doing good hanging out. We'll be hanging out here a little bit after the anti-net's over too. Appreciate you watching the YouTube channel on it. And you're always welcome to join Zoom. I uploaded the link there if anybody wants to join. So how's things going in your area, and what's your plans for the next week in ham radio?
Well, we've got rain, and nothing planned so far with all the rain going on. Just hanging out and staying dry, and that's about it for now.
Right on, Vince. Well, thanks for checking in. This is Nick, KN6DAL, with the 2 Meter Crew Anti-Net. You know, funny thing about the rain, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, and so it rains all the time, right? So it doesn't stop. It like the day is the day. Whether it's raining or not means nothing to what's going on in the day. So I moved down to California, and one thing I noticed right off the bat, because I was in the Sacramento area, and it's nice like all the time, except for when it's not. When it's raining, it is dumping out, right? And so when it's raining, everything stops. Everything, like, nobody goes anywhere, nobody does anything, and then like 4 hours later, the rain is gone, and then life is back to normal, and it's sunny and 80 degrees out. So it's interesting the way people interact from one area to the other. I guess if we had to stop everything because of the rain, we'd never get anything done. So that's the world I live in. But man, the weather reports, that's great. I'm really glad that it's pouring for everybody down there, because you get a taste of it. This is Nick, KN6DAL, with the 2 Meter Crew Anti-Net. We're looking for last calls on check-ins. Any last calls that want to check in, come on in now. How long should I make it?
Apple Island. I just kind of stumbled onto the last end of this net. Sounds pretty interesting.
Who was that? I heard the comment. I didn't quite catch the call sign. If you want to come back one more time with your call.
Yes, Kilo November 6th, Victor Mike Kilo.
All right, KN6VMK. What's going on tonight? You stumbled across the 2 Meter Crew Anti-Net, and we're just hanging out. We're streaming live on YouTube right now. We've got a Zoom chat going on with a few people in it, and we're talking about innovative ham ideas to make antennas work better, I guess is the best way I can describe it. And the weather, of course.
I got in about the last 10 minutes or so. I'm a new licensee. I've only been on the air since around November last year, and I just kind of have been tootling around the different repeaters to see what type of traffic there is, and that's how I stumbled upon you guys.
Well, that's awesome, man. Congratulations on getting your ticket. And I see that you're keying into the W6VVR repeater. Right now you're linked to a lot of different repeaters and digital connections and stuff. But coming in through there's a lot of great activity within the club that runs on that repeater, which is the Vacaville Radio Club. And then there's also a lot of people that talk on the repeater that you can connect with. They have a net on Tuesday nights where the club meets and has check-ins, and you're always welcome to check in there too. And then we're here on Wednesday nights. You're always welcome to come by and say hi. And it's good to hear you on the air, man. So keep talking, and if that repeater is dead, just start talking on it. Eventually people will come back and talk to you.
Thanks for the welcome. What time does this net start?
We're here on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
thought. I'm going to add this net to my little list I've been accumulating, and I'll be sure to try and join next time as well.
Yeah, no problem at all. And I didn't catch your first name.
My name is Conrad.
Awesome, Conrad. It was great to have you. And if you ever have any questions or you need somebody to reach out to in terms of like any kind of learning curves or anything like that, there's tons of resources, and there's a lot of people that are super active in the Northern California area. So don't be afraid to jump on and ask questions. People are always willing to help. So I will say 7-3 to you, and we'll take any other check-ins that want to come in and say hi. Any last check-ins, come on in now.
A6 KIH again. Over.
Yeah, Steve, what do you got?
I'm now on my desk, and I have my 6-element Yankee pointed in the right direction. I don't have the handheld. So, you don't hear any quieting now, do you? Back to you.
Wow. No, yeah, you're coming in good, loud and clear now.
Few elements always come in handy and stuff like this. So, okay, well, thank you very much for the signal report. And is this a network that's out of the Vacaville? Oh, sometimes I do stutter. It's not your radio. Thank you.
So right now it looks as though you're keying up the W6 VVR repeater in Vacaville. We're currently connected to several other repeaters, and we're also connected to Freestar, which is a digitally linked system. And so there's many digital connections connected as well. So people can access through DMR, Allstar, Yaesu Fusion, just all kinds of different options to connect to the network right now. But it looks as though you're currently keying up through the W6 VVR repeater. Did I answer his question?
That is correct, and I understand now what's going on. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, how often do you run your net? Over.
So we're here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. unless I get stuck at work, and then we cancel it.
Okay, very good. I thank you very much again. Oh, I didn't catch your name, please.
Yeah, my name's Nick, and my call sign's KN6DAL, and the name of this net is called the 2 Meter Crew Anti-Net, because we're really unorganized. So we're not a net, we're an anti-net.
Okay. Hi. Okay. Thank you, Nick, and Sandra.
All right, 7-3. Okay, last calls. Anybody that wants to check in, come on in now.
Check in from Lake County, Kilo November 6, uniform, India Mike. How you doing tonight?
Hey, what's happening? How's it going up there in Lake County?
Well, I think like everybody else, we're pretty wet. But other than that, my antenna is still standing, which I'm really happy about. And even though we had some pretty horrific winds last night, and it's going well. I live on a hill, so all the water runs downhill, so I'm okay.
Yeah, the raindrops won't hurt you. Just stay on top of them. This is Nick, KN6DAL. Thanks for the check-in. We're looking for any last calls. Come on in now. And no. All right, nothing being heard. Thank you all for checking in. Thank you, Servando, for being hilarious. And we will see everybody next week. We're going to be hanging out here on the Zoom chat. We'll have YouTube live for a little while longer. And if anybody wants to join up, you can always do that at Northwest Ham Shack. And until we meet again, I'm going to turn the repeaters and digital connections all back to their normal operation. Thanks, everybody, and 7-3. You're a nut job, Servon.
Can we talk now? Oh, thank God we can talk now.
You have the worst ADD ever.
I do. I really do. And I actually got some sleep last night. Man.
Love it.
Dude. I let what was it? Was it field day? Yeah, summer field day. Remember Cliff K6 CWS.
Yeah, pounding in the steak with his radio.
He needed a tuner. And so I let him borrow this thing.
Oh, that was a different. Okay, yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah.
I let him borrow this thing. What the freak? Yeah, I let him borrow this thing, and he's had it ever since. And so when we went to the W6 VVR Christmas dinner thing, he brought it back with a little bow on it. So I just keep the bow on it now. It really did feel like a present.
Take it to field day with the bow still on it.
Dude, it's so hard to get a like even like a little jank like even this thing. Like it's so hard to get these things still. Like if you I try to order one, I was like, I'll just order another one. They're like super cheap, the little manual tuners or the little manual. And dude, they're like, oh, it's in stock. DX Engineering's like, yeah, we got you. It's in stock. And then you order it and it's like, hey, it's gonna be like 2 to 3 weeks before you get it, maybe. And I was like, nah, I'm good. Dude, it's like it's still hard to get things.
I wanted to show a couple of pictures of.
Do it.
Let's see if we can pull these up so that.
Do it.
So that YouTube can see them too. Just of the.
Yeah.
So that is that's
the short one.
Spike that they built, and this is the first one, right?
Yeah, that's the original prototype. Those are all photos. Yeah, the original one, which, you know, it looked good when you looked at the little diagram, but once we printed it out, we weren't really taking advantage of the opportunity for what could be done. And I felt if you're in, you know, soft sand or something loose, it might not be enough to really take advantage of, you know, kind of what we're trying to do. I was talking to my son and I was trying to say, okay, let's print this one, and as soon as this is done, let's cut it and add. You know, I was going to make one that was actually 8 inches long, which would have been too long. And then right about that time, you know, Dan had come back with a revised version that added 2 inches in the middle. Once I got it next door and I put it in my antenna, I was thinking, no, 8 inches is way too big. You know, it needs to be about 2 inches, which is 50 millimeters, essentially. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was a great project. Dan and I were chatting about it. You know, I had done that complicated exercise of tying down the base of my antenna last week, which actually held up. When I got back to my parents' house in Sonora, and the antenna was in a spot that was very exposed to the wind with nothing around it. And they had some horrendous winds up there during the week. I put it up one weekend and I just left it, and there was no one home. You know, it was just sitting out there by itself, and that's when the major storms were hitting. And I got back and I was fully expecting to see it like laying on the ground in a pile, and it was just standing up. And that's when I kind of realized, you know, this concept really is helpful. And, you know, if you had, rather than tying down the base, which was a pain in the butt and it took some time, it worked well, and it was you know, did what it needed to do. If you had something like a spike that you could attach to the bottom of the antenna that it would kind of serve both purposes. It would make it easier to put up, and you wouldn't need to do the tie down because the base wouldn't slip out.
Right.
And I think I kind of figured that out as I was putting the antenna away. I'm like, why can't you just make something that sticks in? You have the collar. I mean, the design is already here. I have this stupid little cap that's got these funny little rubber feet on there that are just practically pointless. And when it toppled over the first time, I had put it up on a wood block because the ground where I was setting it up was kind of muddy, and I didn't want to stick the antenna right straight in the mud. And because I needed to put the little wing nuts on and all that, Servando's got a great fix for that, which I haven't implemented yet, but I do intend to do very shortly. Yeah, there you go.
And those are solar panel connectors, aren't they?
Oh, fuck. I do. Oh, sorry. I almost took out the fan.
No, we're good.
So the concept was already there, and I was talking to Dan about it over VVR on my drive home, and he could envision what I was talking about, and he went right to work. And about the time shortly after I got home, he already had the file, the drawing ready to go and the file ready to go. And I went to printing right away. And I think we both started printing on it. And my son has two 3D printers, and now he has a resin printer. He's very excited about this stuff and just prints tons and tons of stuff. And so I went up to him and I'm like, hey, can you print this? He's like, yeah, sure I can. The one modification that I made, and this was in the original like current prototype that's 150 millimeters long, is I did drill holes in here. And I think I'm going to do that to these other ones, because when my antenna sat out in the rain, I did have some moisture in the bottom of the antenna, and this would allow that to drain out and for the internal tube of the antenna to breathe. I think it even just collects condensation inside if you leave it out, which I often do, but this will allow that to drain out comparatively to puddling up in the bottom. So I do need to drill those holes out, but that's super simple to do. We did have a failure of the printing. I don't know what exactly happened, but we got about just to the base plate of this part right here before it started printing the spike, and it knocked one of the things over. When I was printing the first two of these PETG ones. Yeah. And so we, rather than let it continue to print while the one had toppled over and we just make a pile, we just stopped the print and started over. So I did do some destructive testing on the other one, on the ones that didn't work, and took and beat on them with a big giant wrench. We were talking about, could you hammer this thing into the ground? And it is, I was very abusive on it, much more so than you would actually be. And I was able to cause a little bit of damage to it, but just by using some wood between your piece and your mallet, I think you could wrench on these things pretty hard. It's very rigid, and it has just enough flex. You would definitely have a failure of the antenna before or compromise the antenna material or somehow before you'd break these things. I'm sure of that. It can't, the antenna cannot handle the abuse that this part can. So it was cool. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I had a question about the file. So is that an STL file?
Yes.
It is?
Sorry, the one on Thingiverse, the one that's in the thread is an object file. So you can.
So my brother couldn't print it. So he has a brand. He just got a 3D printer, and he's like, yeah, I can print that thing for you. And then he's like, I can't open the file.
Oh wow.
STL, and I was like, I don't know. It's a print thing. I don't know. like the guys have like 3 of them already printed. So that was my first question. I liked what Connor was saying. It made sense to me printing it like sideways. If you were to print it, because like you could see it in Dave's picture right there, you can totally tell it's like printed like this way, right? It's printed like horizontally stacked all the way up, right? The length of and if you printed it the other way, I totally get what he's saying. If you were to do that, is that something that you have to make in the file to make make it like stand like this and then print like a support for it?
That's a good question. So my file, the user of the 3D printer should have a slicing program that will automatically decide where supports should be implemented.
Oh, okay.
That does take a little bit of comprehension with the slicing program, because if you use too strong of supports, it turns into a nightmare post-processing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the designer could probably just make sacrificial parts, that snap off easier. That's something that can be listened to. Yeah.
That's the only question I had. Do you know
I think
what?
I can't see that being an issue. I mean, I know what he's getting at, and if you were designing this to go on the space shuttle, I think it definitely makes sense. But it's going to add time to the print. You're going to use a lot more material to print those supports. Cleaning it up is going to be a pain in the butt. We could easily do that, and we thought about doing it in like 2 halves and printing 2 halves and then gluing them together, because it would be faster and you wouldn't have to do the supports. But the way that these came out, I mean, I've twisted it and I've tried to break it as many different ways as I can, and like it's not going to fail. The antenna, I could put it in the DX Commander and wrench on it and I'll snap a piece out of the DX Commander. This thing will not break. The DX Commander will break before. And so while there is valid points to what he's saying, I still think that this is more significant, more strong than the DX Commander is. So you're kind of, over engineering it.
Yeah. Dude, you know what my brother did, and I thought it was a pretty cool idea. He got this new printer, then he got the shroud for it, and then he got like this genius idea. He's like, dude, it'd be nice to like, because you get like this thing. Well, it must be like a new printer thing, right? You get this anxiety where you like set it and forget it, but you don't really forget it, right? He was like, man, I wonder if that thing is still printing, or I wonder if something went wrong. He bought an additional Ring camera, a doorbell Ring camera, and he 2-way taped it inside the shroud. So now like he pulls it up on his phone and he can see the printer printing. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool.
I'm pulling it up on Thingiverse right now. I was gonna drop a link in. Oh, somebody already made a spike. Oh, it's a spike cap. Oh, that one looks atrocious. Yeah, I like Dan's idea. That looks sick. Is it sloppy copy?